This is the Podcast Express, and I'm talking to you. Oh, geez, I forgot my intro. I haven't been doing this for so long. Hold on, I need my cheat sheet. Can you believe that? This is the Podcast Express, and we're talking to whoever's listening out there. Welcome to 5 Minutes of Trouble, the only podcast on the internet that discusses the John Carpenter film Big Trouble in Little China 5 minutes at a time. I'm Josh Horowitz from the 5 Minutes of Bonsai podcast, and my co-host is here, Brett Stillo.
Oh, this passenger seat feels so good. It's really nice to be back in the Podcast Express, rolling down I-5 here.
Yeah, we've had plenty of In-N-Out Burger along the way. And how are you doing?
Well, you can never get enough In-N-Out Burger if you ask me. But other than that, no complaints. And yeah, this is a special bonus episode for you fans out there.
Yeah, we've already talked about Big Trouble in Little China, but we did not talk about three of our special guests who are here live at the dojo. I'm actually here at the Kaizen Dojo in Torrance, California, and I have with me three great stunt people, actors who actually were in Big Trouble in Little China. I have here Mr. Jeff Imada, Gerald Okamura, and Brian Imada. And so I welcome all of you to 5 Minutes of Trouble. So thank you all for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. As people who know this film know, Gerald Okamura, as actor and stuntman who played the memorable Wing Kong Hatchet Man with the mustache, goatee, and double six guns. And then we have Jeff Imada, who is the stuntman and actor who played one of the Lords of Death from the airport sequence, Needles, the one who attacks Jack Burton first. And we have his brother, Brian Imada, sort of a special guest here, who played both Wing Kong and Chang Sing, I understand. So we got three bad guys and a little bit of a good guy here among our cast. But yeah, so thanks for coming on.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm going to try to sort of format this a little bit differently than how we normally do this, since we've gone through the film and just want to find out a bit about your backgrounds, what you've been working on these days, and sort of how you got started with Big Trouble, and then we'll kind of delve into some of these iconic scenes from the film. For the case of Jeff, of course, the airport sequence with your fellow Lords of Death, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the alley fight that Gerald and Al Leong had a very big role in. And we'll talk also a little bit about the great arcade fight sequence that happens near the end of the film. So, I think maybe we'll start with you, Jeff. So, Jeff, I have here that I've actually read on the internet that you trained in Jeet Kune Do. How do you pronounce that? Eskrima?
Eskrima.
What is Eskrima?
That's a Filipino art.
Okay. Yeah, Eskrima, Taekwondo, Tang Sudo, Karate, Shaolin Kung Fu, Kendo, and boxing. So you've done quite a bit.
Not quite.
Not quite?
I didn't do Tang Sudo. I didn't do... What else is there?
Well, somebody's got to update your Wikipedia then.
Did some...
Well, tell me a little bit. So where'd you grow up, and really what got you interested in martial arts?
Grew up in Inglewood, California, and started with martial arts mainly just to stay in shape. And then, of course, Bruce Lee came out and wanted to, learn his concepts, or he didn't call it a style, but his philosophy of martial arts. And I met Danny Nisano shortly, right around when Bruce passed away, unfortunately, so I didn't get to meet him, and then started training him with him shortly after that. Dan Nisano, and been with him ever since.
Is it fair to say that for the rest of you guys that Bruce Lee was also an inspiration for some of the martial arts that you were doing?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say.
Yeah. Did you guys ever have a chance to actually meet Bruce Lee or work with him?
I didn't. I had an opportunity to go visit, but at that time Bruce was training with Akwong, Old Man Akwong, in Chinatown. And I guess one of the guys that I was taking Sun Tzu from invited me. For me, the protocol would have been if I was invited by the group, I would go. But an individual bringing me in and not being Chinese, I thought that was disrespectful.
But the funny thing, I didn't meet Bruce, but I had a chance to work with his son and his daughter.
Oh, Brandon.
Yeah, I did 2 movies with Brandon and one with Shannon.
I understand, too, that you were involved with Brandon Lee on The Crow. Is that right?
Yeah, I worked with Brandon on 3 films. I stunt coordinated 2 of his films and worked as an actor stuntman on one of his films. So, and then also did the TV show Ohara with Pat Morita, and Brandon played a part on there, and also the Kung Fu movie of the week that he was in. So actually, there was a few things that I worked with him on. Now that I think about it.
Wow.
But,
Oh, that's very cool.
so I knew him from when he was like 9, right shortly after. Well, met him when his father passed away. So.
Yeah. So now I have here that you went to UCLA, you majored in pre-med, and you minored in music. So do you still play piano?
Don't play piano too much anymore. Mentally, I think I can, but I don't think I can actually.
Do you think the interest in music kind of somehow translates into the martial arts that you do?
Yeah, it definitely does. And it also transfers over to like choreography and everything else too. I use a lot of music principles for setting up action in general. So.
Oh, very cool. So the question then is, how'd you get into acting and into stunt work?
That was purely by accident. I was going to UCLA and I was close to graduating, and then I started doing background work for the summer to make some extra money. At the time, Screen Extras Guild had medical benefits and everything else, and so they said it was hard to get in. So they said get in, and even if you don't do it now, you can always do it later when you're retired or something like that. Or if you're a student, you can study while you're waiting to work, and then you can also get benefits and everything else. So, and then from there, I sort of got hooked and was interested in going into camera. And at the time, there was to get in the camera department, you had to have people sponsoring you, or as apprentice-like type situation. So you had to have a few people to sponsor you. So I was fortunate enough to have a couple people say they would sponsor me, but then I ended up getting more involved in the acting and the stunt work, and then eventually coordinating and second unit directing. So
that's great. Now, Gerald, moving on to you. So, according to the 1986 Big Trouble in Little China press kit, which I had a chance to show you earlier, it said at that time, at least, you were an expert on numerous martial arts, including Sansu Kung Fu, Judo, Korean Karate, Japanese Karate, Japanese sword fighting, Kendo, Ninjutsu, and ninja weapon fighting. Is that all true?
Very true. And that took only 3 years for me to master. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 4.
All of them at once.
Absolutely. Simultaneously.
So where did you grow up, and what got you interested in martial arts?
I grew up in Hilo, Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah, way back in 1940. I started my martial art career, so to speak, in judo. Being in this community by the ocean, we had a settlement, and they had a gymnasium that was part of the middle school. They had kendo, so we used to watch the kendo class. They used to store the equipment in the gymnasium, so at night over the weekend when we used to spend, over the weekends, a night over, we used to fool around with the kendo outfits. From there, I mixed between the martial arts and some sports, like Little League and Pony League, that kind of deal, baseball. So then I got into the service in the Army. My last year in the service, I got assigned to Korea.
Right.
And that's what they consider a hardship tour, so it's only 13 months. While I was there, I got into the Korean karate, taekwondo. And then after I got out in 1961, moving up to California from Hawaii, after getting my discharge, I got introduced by this salesman that was selling discount merchandise. and he knew about Jimmy H. Wu and Kung Fu Sansu in El Monte. So I got invited to go visit a class.
Huh.
And that's how I got hooked on Kung Fu Sansu.
Uh-huh.
Along the way, it's this thing about the weapons and different elements of it, big weapons, small weapons. I got kind of hooked on the idea of smaller concealable weapons, which belong to the ninjutsu art. And from there, it's one thing to another, just making up weapons and stuff.
Mm-hmm. What was it about the Kung Fu Sansu that appealed to you, that style?
For me, it was kind of down to earth in the sense that you have styles, but you really don't have any style, in the sense that you came up with your own style. You would mimic the instructor, which I think everybody does in the beginning. And then the most important thing that I learned was that you have to come up with your own identity. Each of us learn the ABCs, but all of us don't become lawyers. And this is what the art kind of gave me. Get a lesson, see how you can apply it, different situations. They didn't really emphasize the forms, more of using the forms more of like an exercise. But it was one of those arts that you have to be, to me, mature enough to apply it. We all face the same laws of society. So it takes a mature mind, I guess, or a mature person to actually execute the martial arts. Yeah.
Interesting. So Brian, Brian, you're actually a special guest. I wasn't, I didn't have questions fully prepared for you, but I'm curious to know about your background and what got you into martial arts.
I started after Jeff was going there for a while at the Kali Academy in Upper Normandy. So I eventually got to the level where Danny DeSanto was my instructor also. And at the same time, I was taking some Kempo in LA. It was the Tracy system, I think. So at that time, I was working out quite a bit, learning quite a bit. Danny DeSanto was a big influence on life philosophy. And then Jeff got me in the movie business. Said, hey, come on, let's go make some money. And then I met Gerald, and we had a good time. So
that's not really true. It was like
you didn't have a good time.
I had a good time, but it wasn't like I had a lot of opportunities to work with Jeff because Jeff gave all the jobs to Brian. So that kind of put me on the side.
Wow. I'm a little confused about this.
But truthfully, going back to the movie industry, Jeff always looked after me if he needed some bad guy or whatever. He would always give me a buzz. So yeah, friendship goes back between Jeff and Brian long ways. Away from the martial arts, away from the movie stuff. So good friends.
Yeah, Gerald's
Yeah.
been very good friends.
Yeah, talking to you guys, you really get the sense it's not just a profession. This is family. And so that leads to the question, you guys knew each other prior to working on Big Trouble?
Not really. Not really.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so, because depending on the time frame, I think each of us had our own thing going, whether to school or working background. So I'm not sure where everybody's timeline is on Big Trouble, Little China.
Yeah, I think we might have met before that, but we didn't get to know each other really well until that time because we were on the set for so long on Big Trouble in Little China, and there's, obviously when you're making movies, there's downtime, so you get to hang out and talk and joke around and train, do different things. So we got to know each other, quite a few people, a lot better than we had known each other before.
It's probably one of the largest concentration of Asian martial artists at the time.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to have been all Chinese, right?
Yeah.
but we snuck in somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I think that's important, I think, in the sense of the background people, all of them, I think they had like about 70, if I'm not mistaken, background people that were all martial artists in different levels of their martial art credits. And then we had stunt people that most of them were, or most of us were martial art people. Not saying all of it, all of them was. And then there's just stunt guys.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of, but when you look at it in the movie itself, you're not gonna pick out he was a stunt guy, he was the background guy. You know, everybody kind of participated and pulled for each other. So I think that was really nice because you're looking at 70 background people, and then you're looking at the stunt guys, and then you're looking at the main cast. So for me, it was a really fun shoot. I mean, met a lot of new people, had a chance to meet up with some of the old guys. But I think the biggest thing for me was getting to meet new people.
Yeah, and there's a few real gang guys in the group too.
Yeah.
but in the background there.
Which really mean customers, huh?
We had to monitor, but
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember some of them.
Conflicts going back.
Actually, that's one of the questions that I have for you guys. So, I mean, you guys were the Wing Kong, Lords of Death, Wing Kong, Chang Sing. So when filming started and everything, did you kind of find that there was a certain camaraderie between the actors, stunt people who played the bad guys, and then like the Chang Sings? Would you guys sit at separate tables?
I don't think so.
No, we all.
I think the character didn't mean much. You kind of stuck to your group, whether you were Chang Sing or Wing Kong.
Okay.
Okay. So in that sense, you kind of picked your own kind of group. I mean, when time came to shoot, I mean, we just kind of helped each other out.
Yeah.
Because we commented on each other to help each other out, regardless of which gang side we were on or group we were on. So it's like, if somebody needed, everybody was open to criticism, like, did that look okay or not? And we'd help each other out because we wanted the best product, possible for overall for the film. So
Sure.
we were all interested in making sure we all look good. So. And Gerald made sure we all looked good.
But like you said, there's some background people that wanted to get in front of the line. You understand
They
what
really
I'm
kind of
saying?
shoved themselves forward just to get that.
Yeah. The AD would say, Josh, get in the back. And then when we get ready to shoot the rehearsal, okay, and then, all right, back to number one, Josh would get in the front. And the AD would say, Josh, you're in the back. I mean, didn't we have a few of those?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we had
Quite a
that
bit.
always wanted to get in front of the,
And we're
front.
and we're trying to match the shots from different angles, and all of a sudden somebody else is in the shot that they weren't in the shot before. So it'd be like, continuity wise, and then Sandy was the script supervisor, and she goes, "Who are those two guys right here? They were here before." So the AD would have to come in and wrangle them up and put them back where they belong.
And you mentioned there was something like 70 to 80 different stunt people that were involved in this?
Well, there were 70 or 80 background people that were martial artists, most of them. I mean, good martial arts people, but they had a few that were martial arts, but didn't understand the business, I think.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's 70 background people, but there was also the stunt guys.
Yeah, and there was very few Asian stunt people and also martial artists at the time. So a lot of us doubled up in the alley fights and everything. Like, I know Brian played different people. I played both sides, probably about 12 different guys.
Oh, really?
You'd see us with the mustache or a goatee and with a turban, and then maybe with a scar, and maybe with a headband, and and then wigs, short, long wigs, and different things to make us look different, because there was not enough stunt people that could actually do the reactions.
Yeah, you remember,
and fights.
Brett, when we had James Liu on, he was mentioning that that happened quite a bit. That people would put the turbans on or the mustaches and play both sides.
Yeah, yeah.
Except for me.
Yeah, except for him because he was so recognized. His presence.
I tried to play on both sides of the fence, but John wouldn't let me.
Though what would have been awesome, though, you know how they had the security guards over at the Wing Kong? If you would have been one of the security guards, like dressed down, like nice suit, but of course, your awesome beard and stuff.
And with the six guns on it.
Because there's times when he would say, and I repeat this incident, like John would say, bring me 8 stunt guys.
Yeah.
I would go, and then right away he goes, no, Gerald, go have coffee. We don't need you in this shop. So I kind of lost out. I mean, most of us would like to be participating. So it's like every chance you get, you want to get up there, and then I didn't get an opportunity to change wardrobe like the two of these guys,
Because we're sort of blend in, Gerald's very distinguished looking. He's like Ali on. Both of them have a very strong presence. Even if you don't see them, their presence is felt. So.
All right. Dinner's on me tonight, Jeff. Thank you for that comment, Jeff.
So, Gerald, when you were hired for Big Trouble in Little China, did you have any idea, any clue that you would become this famous gunslinger?
No. I've told this story before. I went to apply cattle call with they had all the martial art people audition for John Carpenter. I went there with a lot of weapons that I carry in an attaché case and a duffel bag, and I brought one of my students with me. So I showed my martial arts skills, threw around this kid, slammed him on the ground. Then I showed John some of my weapons, and that was it. They didn't let you know right off bat that you got hired. So I went home. That night I got a call from Kenny Andoso, and he says, hey, we want to use you. So tomorrow, next day, head for 20th Century prop department. And I said, okay, fine. So when I got there, the guy says, yeah, I know who you are. And I said, we got your weapons for the movie. And this guy brings out 2 gold-plated pistols, pearl handle. And they say, these are your weapons. And I says, yeah, okay. Don't look like no martial art weapon, but yeah, I'll take it. And then I was getting ready to leave, and then the guy says, well, wait a minute. John said to give you bandoleros. And I said, okay, I'm not there to argue. But if you remember the movie, Brad, those bullets that they had in the bandoleros, kind of fit like an elephant gun, right? Yeah. I mean, so, okay, that was kind of the jest. And after hearing some of the stories later, they talked about Big Trouble being a Western.
That's right.
And I kind of put 2 and 2 together, thinking that maybe John wanted at least one guy that looked like Pancho Villa or whatever, a Western type character. And,
if it would have been in the original 1880s script, then you probably would have been the same character, having that bandito type. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the funny part to this whole thing is that it's a good thing I didn't have to reload.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to load those big caliber bullets into a 6-shooter.
Yeah. Probably would have just ended up throwing them. Throw their bullets.
But I want to move on a little bit to just the story about how you guys got into Big Trouble. So it sounds like that was the origin of how you got your call. What about you, Jeff? How did it work with you getting on to Big Trouble?
I went into the audition too.
The same one that Gerald was
I don't know
at?
if it was the same day, but it might have been.
It could have been. They had a few days of audition.
Yeah, so went in there, met John, and I pulled out a few of my weapons that I have, and put a little demo on and things. And then I got the phone call later too. And then it was funny because we were shooting, and then I think we were halfway through the film, or almost all the way through the film, and he goes, "You're Japanese?" And I go, "Uh-huh." And he goes, how did you sneak in here playing a part when all the other people that have parts and lines in this thing are all Chinese? He goes, he goes, how did you sneak in like that? So, I mean, he was joking around, but they were trying to keep it all Chinese since it was supposed mostly, it was supposed to be a Chinese storyline. But yeah, Gerald snuck in, I snuck in.
It was good that they didn't have enough Chinese people. If not, Jeff and I wouldn't have been in big trouble with China.
Now, one of the things that you demoed at the time, was it that thing with the butterfly knife trick that we see in the film?
Yeah, I pulled out the butterfly knife, I think, and I pulled out the telescopic baton. And I might have pulled out nunchucks and maybe some collie sticks and stuff like that. But yeah, they wanted me to use the telescopic and the volley song. So.
Yep. And what about you, Brian? Did you come along at that time, or did you go separately?
I think I went separately. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then I just did some eskrima, some kali, and they saw the weapons that I could use, so they said, "Okay, you could be the utility stunt."
Yeah,
because I don't have a distinctive enough look. I don't think. So. Like Gerald, he's got that excellent.
Okay, you're invited to dinner too.
And he never ages either. He looks the same all the time.
The body feels every single blow.
All right, I think we can move on to the scenes. Unless Brett, was there anything else you wanted to ask before we move on?
Actually, I do have one question, and it's for Gerald, and it's about the guns. Were they actually gold plated, or were they just sort of spray painted? What was the? Do you know?
As far as I know, the guns belong to somebody that they rented, and it's gold plated, pearl handles. It can shoot real bullets. I forgot what they told me what it costs to rent per day. I mean, I think we're looking at maybe $1,500 a day.
Wow.
And I really don't play around with guns that much. So it was something that, in fact, when I got home, knowing that I was going to use those 6-shooters, I went out to this one martial arts supply place, and they had a replica, the weight. And so I bought 2 pistols, and I was practicing on my own to draw 2 pistols to the point where I had to put pillows on my foot because I was dropping the pistols every time.
Ouch.
So yeah, those were real guns.
That's pretty. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I actually I had a question for later, but just what it felt like in that scene where you're actually doing the 2 guns. I assume they were blanks, of course, but I mean how it must have felt at that time.
It felt good, and the story that I say, John was the one that says, before you draw your guns, do a martial art kata.
Yes.
So I said, and talking this same story with Brian earlier, I said, when the man says, "Come on, Gerald, just you and I and a camera, and we'll shoot some stuff," and I said, "Wow, that's a single." And now John says, "Do a little kata." I says, "Wow, that's me just by myself, so I gotta milk this scene." So I was doing all what I could to not over-exaggerate the kata. And then John says, on a Western movie, when the gunfighter wants to draw his gun, he's ready to draw his gun, he kind of taps the butt of the pistol. And John says, "Yeah, kind of wiggle your finger there." He had a close-up on it, I milked it for as much as I could. I mean, it's and to this day, with the support of the fans, they kept this character alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so lucky that John created this character to begin with, and the fans out there just kind of kept him alive. I mean, it's like.
I mean, the character's known as the Wing Kong Hatchet Man, but did you ever give him a real name? Did you have a name in mind?
Yeah.
What is it?
Gerald.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Why not?
Gerald the Hatchet Man, obviously.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. At this point, I want to go over some of these scenes. So for those of you following along, we're currently watching the airport scene. you remember where this was, what airport this was at?
That was at LAX.
LAX?
Yeah, they had a section of LAX that was sort of being worked on.
Is that the old terminal?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And there was Craig and
Rummel.
Rummel. Yeah. And
Who was the other guys with you, Jeff?
Yeah, Craig and Rummel. And Rummel I used to stunt double.
Oh, there he is.
So it's funny. Yeah, and that's at that point he said, "You guys stay as close together as possible." Like trying to walk with, bumping our shoulders into each other and stuff.
You grabbed the one.
The wrong one.
Yep. There it is. Butterfly and the baton.
Yeah. So we wanted it to be a surprise, kind of. And then Craig's watching out for people, and Rummel's over there.
Yeah, airport security is not what it used to be.
Isn't that telescopic baton your design?
The original design was out of Japan, but it was much shorter and it would break. And then
One is your design.
I started designing one that was like made out of
better material.
Yeah.
Oh, so you designed that baton? Oh.
Yeah.
After I told everybody that I did, now Jeff comes and blows it.
Yeah, I was selling them for a while, but then liability insurance and everything else, and then Asp and Monadnock actually asked me, yeah.
Did you get to drive that?
I was going to, and then Kenny Indoso said I'm driving, so
Kenny.
So he can get on camera to get the residuals.
All right. So that was the airport scene that we just watched over here.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then
So-
we all had right before that. That's when everybody got. The prop guy came over and he said, "John wants you guys to wear these glasses," and we're like going, "Oh."
Oh, so he just gave that to you at that time on set?
Well, it came pretty much that morning, I think. I mean, there had been talk about it, but.
Well, that actually brings a little surprise that I have here. Now these were I guess what Rummel
Those
or
are
Craig's.
Craig's, yeah.
Craig's had these.
Wow.
These aren't the originals. These are a replica of the Eskimo goggles.
Wow.
Now you had the ones that were more of the block style.
Yeah, the block style,
Yeah.
more the blinds.
Like the granny style or whatever.
Actually,
look at that.
Nobody really knows this, but actually these were sort of handed to me at first.
Oh, really?
And I was
So
like,
you were gonna.
well, they were saying, "How does that work?" And I go, "Well, it's hard to see everything that I have to do, and I don't want to hit Kurt. I don't want to hit Kurt with the weapons and stuff." So.
I just wanted to take a look at this. Yeah, the special IGAC Eskimo goggles. I wonder just how.
Where's the trigger for the gun? There is no trigger for the
It
gun.
shoots laser beams.
Yeah. So
Wow, that's pretty wild.
I have some questions about the airport sequence. So it was filmed at LAX. How many days did it take to film that sequence? Do you remember?
Oh God, I think we're there. I think we're inside the airport 2 days, I want to say, and then we went to the parking structure. So I want to say it was 2 or 3 days. I think. God, just from my memory.
Well, sure,
Good
30
memory.
years ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 or 3 days.
But the costumes that the Lords of Death wear are just awesome. I mean, these black jackets, the bandanas. I mean, you had the boxy sunglasses that now I'm learning now that you basically got at the last minute. Joe Lucky with his thin shades and slick back hair, and then one ear with these Eskimo goggles. So my question here was, did you have any influence with the costume designer April Ferry at the time on the look at all?
No, I know that there's different options, and I know my pants, I think, were like sort of reptilian type of, like I don't know, like a lizard skin type or snake skin type of pants, I think, from what I remember. And I was just concerned about being able to move. And then I know they tried on long sleeves and short sleeves and different options. And the glasses, they might have brought that up a day earlier or something, but I can't remember. But they weren't sure which way they were going to go, whether we were going to have the glasses or not. I know the descriptions in the script was way different than how we looked.
That's right.
Actually.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of controversy and protests from the Chinese community because they got a hold of the script, and then they were saying it was they were not depicting Chinese in a very good manner, and but they had an old script. And there was nothing. And John was very conscious about wanting to make sure all the Asians look, Chinese look good, and that they're. I mean, it was the whole whole cast was Chinese, except or Asian, except for Kurt and like 3-4 people, I think. In the script. So he was really, wanted to make sure that he didn't go into like too much of a stereotype type thing, and yet they still got a lot of protests from the community and everything else, and caused a lot of problems for John.
Jeff, I was just going to ask, 3 very memorable characters. Did Carpenter or anyone go through, give you guys any backstory or any detail about your characters? Like, in the script, I'm trying to remember if, the names are there, but, did somebody tell you, okay, you're going to be Needles, and, Craig, you're going to be Joe Lucky, and did you have any backstory like that?
Yeah, I think I can't recall, but I think it was just more or less we were told who we were going to be, or we might have had a choice. I can't remember, but I think in the script, Needles was supposed to drive the car. Okay. So that's why they said you be Needles, and then the weapon stuff came up later, I think. But I don't think any of us really were like specific about who. I don't think we cared who was who that much. But I know we were a gang that was a little bit different than the normal gang. Sure. and then also, since my name was Needles, I know I wanted to have some kind of character-y thing, so I had some sewing needles that I got, and I was like used them like a toothpick, so I kept them in my mouth all the time.
Well, there's the explanation. Wow. I always thought it was because of the knives that you had, but no, that's interesting.
No, I wanted to make it very distinct why it was called Needles, so I kept a needle toothpick in my mouth.
See, now I'm curious. Now I want to know the origin. Why Joe Lucky and why 1 ear?
I don't know. Did we ever see his ears in 1 ear?
Because we only see 1 ear in shot.
Or is 1 ear bigger than that?
Maybe 1 ear was bigger. Seems like he had 2. I always wondered that myself, but then you're not going to remember a guy named 2 Ears.
Actually, so that brings up another question that I have. So very little has been written about the other Lords of Death, Rummel Moore and Craig. I don't know, NG, Ing. Yeah, they played the fellow Lords of Death. So what was it like working with Rummel and Craig?
They're great. I mean, Craig I didn't know that well. Rummel I knew quite well because he did a lot of acting, and while I was doing acting and stunts, I actually stunt doubled him quite a few times before, so we knew each other quite well. But we hadn't played roles together because usually I was stunt doubling them, so it was neat. But I think Rummel went on to, I think he became an attorney or something, something like that. And he was a really bright guy, and he enjoyed acting, but it was not necessarily. I mean, if it took off, it was great, I think. And from what I recall, but he was still going to school and things like that. And Craig was a martial. I think he did Tai Chi and stuff, and very artistic. I think, right? Yeah.
It's funny. I seem to recall that James Pax, he was a model, and I think he was he an attorney or was he like a paralegal, Brett?
Oh, I can't remember. Or was he a stockbroker?
Or a stockbroker.
For some reason, it's stockbroker.
Right. He played Lightning. And that was the other thing that he did. Yeah. Wow.
And he continued acting. I think he's over in China, I think, isn't he?
Is he?
In China.
Ah. Yeah. That's neat.
Yeah. I just want to kind of climb into the box, and now I'm imagining 1 Ear actually became a lawyer. Just, and the character was a lawyer too, so he became the lawyer for the Lords of Death. But
that's how we stayed out of prison.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's how we survived. He negotiated because of the Wing Kong and Chang Sing all killed each other.
Yeah.
So which side were you on, Jeff?
We were neutral. We were like our own group.
Well, wait a minute though. Then they say the Lords of Death were the errand boys for the Wing Kong. if I remember how the script went.
That's sort of true. But
that's true. That's true. But
I was.
Seemed like they wanted to be by themselves.
Yes.
Well, maybe the Wing Kong wanted us to be by ourselves because we were not normal.
The reason why we didn't want you in a group is that you never wore the red scarf around your head.
That's right. It was all black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you had done that, we would open arms and greet you into the group.
Well, when you guys handed us ribbon instead of cloth, it was sort of like red ribbon. It was sort of like, we didn't want to look like we were a Christmas package or something.
Brian, help me out.
You're on your own, man.
This is perfect. This is perfect. 30 years later, and you guys are still in character. And it's like, no, we're not errand boys for the Wing Kong. We're independents. I just want to get that straight. We were there at the airport because we wanted to be. Nobody told us to be there.
And we thought this other girl was better. She was better looking.
The script didn't read it that way, Brett. They were supposed to kidnap Kirk Russell.
Wow. But
Yeah.
as it turned out, right, we picked the girl, and we knew that maybe green eyes would be a good thing at some point. So
That's right.
Good pick.
They're like leather bucket seats.
Without you, there's no movie. None of it would have happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're all here today talking about this movie because you said, no, let's take her instead.
Yeah. Like, we'll take that girl over there, and I think she looks cool with green eyes.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
And Sandy said, that's not in the script, right? Jeff, get the other girl, Jeff.
Did you get a chance to talk at all with Susie Pie around that time?
Uh-huh.
What was she like?
She's great. She's like, very attractive, very nice, but she was a Playboy playmate.
That's right.
Yeah, so,
Hong Kong issue.
yeah. Oh, you have that?
Yes. No, I don't.
Oh, well, you were passing it around, I think, weren't you?
No.
Yeah, we all.
No, I got it.
I sort of recall that
I got it in a frame. Come on. I'm not taking it out of the frame just to show you guys, man.
Well, we were speaking about Kurt Russell before, so did you get a chance to interact much with Kurt? I mean, other than, of course, fighting.
Yeah. Actually, he's just a great guy. All right, he like hangs out with everybody, talks with everybody, and he's not real methody. And he just like you can just turn it on and turn it off. Like when they need Kurt, all of a sudden he goes okay, and he walks on the set and get ready to roll and action. And all of a sudden he's whatever character he wants to be. So I think from growing up in the business, it's like it's just very second nature to him. I worked with him other times and met him. And saw him on set when he was doing Soldier too, and
Soldier.
He was still very, just a great guy. And I saw him again on Furious 7, when he came back, and we were talking story about some of the old days and stuff. So, yeah, Kurt, he doesn't change. He's the same nice guy, always been. So.
That's great. Now, Gerald, you mentioned before that you had a baseball background, and Kurt Russell, too, had quite a baseball background. Did you ever have a chance to talk baseball with him at all?
No, not too much with Kurt.
Yeah.
Like I said, for me, it was the early days of my participation in the movie. And not really knowing the protocols, how much you can do, how much you cannot do, and that kind of deal. So I kind of kept in the background.
Sure. The big question I have for you, Jeff. Actually, no, we already answered this question about did you ever get to drive that red Firebird? But no, it sounds like Kenny Endoso, the guy who eats the fish,
There you go.
was the driver. So you worked with stunt drivers thing. What did you think of that Firebird, though?
Oh, it's great. That was cool. I would have liked a little older model, but that was good.
Yeah.
We're actually commenting on another episode that we did of this later on, and we're going to talk about the alley scene right after this. The Lords of Death show up again, this time not just with the Firebird, but with a beautiful Pearl Gray Fiero, and there's also a Harley there.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, Danny Wong. Danny Wong rode up with that. Yeah. So, and then we were supposed to be in another scene, or we did do another scene, but then they ended up cutting it out, I think.
Yes.
Oh no, they added the scene.
Wait, are you talking about where the Firebird goes into the bay and gets bumped? Yeah. Oh, we're gonna. Yeah.
So didn't they cut that out of
They did, and I wanted to ask you about that. What were your thoughts about them removing that?
Well, it would have been nice, but then I guess on the other side of it, we did live,
That's true.
We didn't die. So,
Went on to become lawyers too.
but no, it was when you're shooting a film and you're going through it and you have and studio and the director, trying to cut it down to a certain length of time, and
Sure.
you have to figure out what they need and what they don't, and so it's fine. They make those decisions.
They show that deleted scene on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking about that during the show, and that keeping it in kind of it makes the character of Kurt Russell of Jack Burton seem a little mean-spirited. I mean, I get it that revenge, but I mean it's like cold-blooded murder essentially.
And he didn't do anything else during the rest of the film. Actually,
Well,
is that the first thing he really accomplished? No, I'm just kidding.
so we're now taking a look at the alley scene, which was on the backlot of Fox, a John J. Lloyd created set, because the real Chinatown does not have alleys this wide, not even close.
No.
They kept those sets up for a long time. Oh, there's Ali Young.
Yep, there's Al with his meat cleaver.
Yep. Silver-plated meat cleaver.
So Brian, if you see yourself, let us know.
You come out in this scene?
Yeah. I know I get beat up by James.
Oh, no, you're in the picture too, I think.
Yeah, he's in the poster.
Let me get ready to
Brian's
charge
Brian's
each
in the
other.
poster, too.
Oh, here we go. Okay, here he is. With the twitchy fingers.
Twitch that finger.
Look at that.
Oh.
Love it. There's the kata. But we don't actually get to see you do the guns yet. There we go.
On the original, I think, for the premiere,
Uh-huh.
I start the fight. I shoot the first shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they edited that later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I think
interesting.
if you get one of those VHS, it shows that
There isn't that cut. I wonder why they changed that.
yeah. They put Leo Lee. Leo Lee started it, on this one.
With the Tommy gun.
I
Yeah.
know Leo was in there. I didn't
Right?
know that was Leo. I don't think so.
He was one of the.
Yeah,
He was holding the casket, I think, wasn't he?
No, he
There
was
we
shooting
go.
the gun.
Yeah, but-
I think he started the.
That's Kenny, right?
Kenny
Yeah.
and Gary Toy.
Huh.
I'm around there somewhere.
We learned the origin, how James had his Chang Sing.
Yeah, the Chang Sing.
Was there ever a Wing Kong
Hey,
song?
you got to be in here, I think, no?
Actually, we kept that Chang Sing finger, that signature alive, and we put it in. We actually, some of us did other commercials and TV shows and would put that in there.
That's awesome.
Just so people would go, oh.
Not me. Not me. True-blooded Wing
Kong
Kong.
all the way.
This is just great.
Yeah, I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And shot so well, too.
Yeah, and that clash was
That's
well
what-
choreographed.
What did we must have done that about 5 times.
The run toward each other?
Yeah.
And then and there we would like split apart into lines.
Huh.
So you can keep running, otherwise you stop.
Oh, right. Otherwise,
Yeah.
And then editorially they cut it.
Because I remember the guy on a, what do you call that?
Oh.
The Steadicam.
there you go. You got one shot in that we get there. That's good, Gerald. Oh,
That's me right there. Too.
oh, that was you who got the board across your neck?
Yeah, I was in there.
Wait, were
already
you on
like
the
four-
receiving end, or did
Yeah,
you?
I was on the receiving
Oh
end.
no!
I was already in there like 5 times. I think.
I was gonna say this guy's they go all the time.
Oh, they actually took that part out of the German release.
Oh, is that
The
right?
snapping, yeah.
Too violent.
No blood in this, but that, yeah.
That's me right there.
Oh, that was that you getting your head into the wall?
Not the actual wall, but going toward the wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then James gets into the window right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he gets his comeuppance. He ends up getting Al at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the window.
It comes back out. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Saito is another one that already passed away too.
Yeah. Kenny and Phil passed away.
Kenny, Phil,
I heard about Kenny. Yeah.
Stuart Kwan.
Yeah, Stuart.
Yeah.
And I think we'll stop it here because here's where the storms come in. Though I like how they're all together at this point. They're no longer two gangs. They're just both freaked out.
It's like everybody doesn't want to deal with that.
The great Carter Wong. I mean, I found out years later just how much of a legend Carter Wong is.
Oh yeah, in Hong
Yeah.
Kong.
You know, he was almost like, you know, one of the huge names, especially in the press kit that they had from '86. They said, you know, and Carter Wong so established. It turns out that he actually helped train the Hong Kong Police Department.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I read about that. All right, so there is our alley scene. So let's talk a little bit. So we kind of answered a little bit about who had what parts here. So so we definitely know that Jeff had the board broken across him. Among other different things.
I got cut by Ali on with a knife.
Oh, you got cut by that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Brett, that's one of your favorite scenes right there.
Some other pieces I'd have to
Oh, yeah.
look at it again, but yeah, and I think.
And then Brian, you were headed toward the wall, but didn't actually get your head crunched into the wall.
Beat up first, and then I was pulled toward it. With Bill too.
So let me see, just general thoughts, guys, about when you first encountered this set on Fox. What were your first thoughts?
It was pretty cool.
It was a great set.
Yeah.
They kept that set there for at least over 2 years. I
So even
think.
after
And
the
they used-
film?
They used it for other shows, and they even, I think, Janet Jackson video, they used it. And
Oh, really? I wonder which one.
wow.
I remember, but it was in there. They just dressed it different, but you know,
But we recognized it.
yeah.
Oh, sure.
And then the studio praised John for coming in on time and under budget,
Right.
and sort of didn't fulfill their promise to John as far as their
the marketing.
campaign
Yeah,
and
that's
their theater open.
The timing just wasn't good, too. I mean, that was Aliens was out. Golden Child was around that same time as well.
So they pushed Aliens in,
Yeah.
and so it was unfortunate, but they kept the set because the set was so beautiful and stuff too.
But one of the things, though, I mean, you know, yes, Golden Child perhaps did well at that time, but people aren't still talking about Golden Child. They're still talking about Big Trouble in Little China, and that's a testament to the film and the great performances you guys did to get this thing made.
Well, Al and I played the monks in the Golden Child.
I did hear about that. Yeah. James Hong as well was in that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we need to talk about doing the Golden Child minute.
Yeah, we've
I don't
been
know.
joking about that. 5 golden minutes we were talking about. I still haven't
5
seen that
golden
film.
minutes.
so-
Those all bald-headed guys.
There was Jeff and Al in Double Dragon too.
Oh, yeah, we were supposed to play twins.
That's right. Billy and Jimmy or something, right?
Remember, yeah.
I just remember the arcade game, but I seem to recall they did make a movie out of
Yeah,
that.
we did.
Let me see. So how many days do you remember actually working on this set during this alley fight scene?
I don't know how many days, but we were at 20th Century at least 2.5 weeks. Easy.
Yeah. Or easily. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe
Because
longer.
I got started, the first scene, or the first day for me was at the warehouse.
Yeah, during the chasing. I mean, not the chase, but when you guys
Yeah, that kind of,
revealed you guys.
yeah.
That's right, from behind the.
Yeah, in
door.
fact,
Behind
at
the door.
that time, I wasn't with my guns.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but that was my first day on this project.
So what was the warehouse right next door then, and also on the Fox
No,
back
where
lot?
was the
Or that was
warehouse?
separate,
It was in
somewhere in
downtown.
LA?
Wasn't
It was
wasn't
downtown.
on it wasn't on stage.
Yeah.
Oh,
was
I
downtown.
wonder because Leah Chang mentioned that at least for her scenes, when they were on that little bridge, with the smokestack, that was some warehouse downtown. So maybe this was all the same place for that one.
Because you were there when they opened the door, right?
Must have been there.
Yeah, that was my first scene, I think.
Okay.
Interesting.
And Danny and Asano get shot there,
There you
too.
go.
Oh,
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that I want to say people we know, but it's like name people that was involved with the project. Because
Right.
even for me, I was looking up to like the Danny and Santos and the rest of those guys. I mean, for me, it was like you see them on magazine covers, you see them at tournaments,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden, I'm working with them. So for me, it was a big thrill.
must have been.
Who's who of martial arts,
Yeah.
Asian martial artists that were on there.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
It was the first time, I think, on anything where everybody had gotten
I
together.
think so. Yeah.
And they did it, and a lot of people got together again on Jimmy Kahn was the one. You guys were on the ship.
Killer Elite.
Killer Elite.
Oh,
It was the other big meeting place for a lot of martial arts.
Yeah.
do you know that film, Brett?
I do know Killer Elite because that was filmed, a large part of it was filmed up here in San Francisco, correct?
Yeah, the Mothball Fleet. Remember?
Yeah, Suisun Bay, the mothball
Suisun
fleet.
Bay, yeah.
Yeah, and Kubota taught James Caan at that time. So
Ha. How involved would you say was John Carpenter during that alley fight sequence? I mean, did he mostly leave that to James Liu and Jim Lau, or did he kind of step in?
I think Jeff can answer that better.
John knew, he studied and watched a lot of movies, martial arts films at the time, a lot of Hong Kong films and
Shaw Brothers.
and everything else. That's where he got some ideas of different things. The storms flying through the air and stuff, he was very involved in that.
Right.
The alley fight, he knew what he wanted, but he sort of left it to, I mean, James and everybody was like, setting up stuff, but we more or less broke up into groups and set up our own little individual fights because since it was a lot to do in a short period of time, like Eric Lee said, everybody set up their own little pieces, their own little vignette pieces of action, and then and then they would figure out, okay, we're gonna come over here and shoot it from this angle and shoot it from here, and then we'd sort of recommend, those of us that were in the business would recommend which angles would be good to show off the pieces, and John is very good. He's always very active as far as picking lenses and stuff like that. So we discuss it with him, and then he would make the decisions of what he wanted to do as far as camera and lenses. But it was more, we all sort of took it upon ourselves to set up our own little fights, right, basically. So
Very cool. So
drive the prop guy crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have a board that breaks, or do you have a bottle that's going, what?
Yeah, because like I said, I didn't have a script. I didn't know the whole scenario, the whole story to this thing. It was, you get there and it goes, here's 8 guys John wants, put something together kind of deal.
Yeah,
So,
and then the thing is like, okay, who do you want to win? Yeah. That was the thing. Who should win in this one? Who should win in this piece over here? Because, editorially, he knew which, he wanted to keep it sort of balanced, I think.
right.
a question for you, Gerald. So once that battle begins, we do see that you do get sort of like one nice punch chop on a Chang Sing. Do you remember if that was part of a longer choreographed sequence that we just don't see?
No. Or a little bit longer.
Yeah.
That's when I had a fight with Kenny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it was another one of those where not too much screen time.
Was that the real fight you had with Kenny? Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
It was. But you know what they say? Don't hit the star. I couldn't hit Kenny.
So that was Kenny Endoso on the receiving end of your punch at that time?
Kinda.
Yeah.
But again, it was just one of those, you shoot a scene and then they cut it up to whatever they want. So sometimes you don't see the whole choreographed fight scene, And like Jeff said, you got a bunch of guys together and they tell you put something together, you present it, and then they'll pick and choose. Yes, good, no, and that kind of deal. So we were all helping each other out. Yeah.
I know some guys at the premiere were like a little disappointed because their masterpiece fight sequence was like cut up, but that's just how it is in show.
In fact,
can't stay on one person for too long. There's the rest of the other people.
In fact, I got a good story I'm going to share with you.
Yes.
Okay. Richard Robago, Sensei Richard Robago, was there as one of the background people, with Ernie Santiago. Anyway, Richard, to this day, is not seen in anything, okay? Okay, this is big trouble, okay? Now this is years later, now I'm doing G.I. Joe. I'm training the 2 kids, Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have another 75, 80 martial art people. And Richard was one, Sensei Richard was one of my instructors. So I told him, okay, if I'm standing on this mount, I said, try to position yourself right in front of me so that if they shoot a master, at least a master you can pick up. Okay, so they shot. So now The movie's coming out, big G.I. Joe. All right, Richard goes to Cerritos Theater, and I had already gone and see the screening, for cast and crew. I didn't tell him I went. And then he goes to see the movie G.I. Joe, and as soon as the movie ends, he calls me up. He goes, "Hey, Gerald, I got to tell you something." He goes, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, "I just got out watching G.I. Joe." He goes, "I'm not in it." So,
And you were standing right in front of you.
so I said, I haven't seen the movie yet. Let me go check it out. I mean, so that's 2 movies that, we did together kind of deal. We used to do a lot of funny stuff, movie set.
Some things
Because
just...
even getting on the lot, Big Trouble lot, background people was parking our way outside of the lot. And you had to find your way in, walk in or whatever.
Sure.
Because I was driving and I had permission to drive, I had all these guys jump in my car, so we would kind of, and then
You would sneak them.
sneak them in. And then part of the funny part of this whole thing is that background people usually is isolated. Well, we go to the set because he drives in with me. Sensei Richard joins me in my trailer. So it's all that kind of funny stuff that we're involved with. So, like I said, you meet up with old friends and you make new friends. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of part 1 of our epic 2-part episode with Gerald, Jeff, and Brian. So please be sure to listen to part 2, which we're going to be releasing next week. In the meantime, please visit us at 5minutesoftrouble.com. You can also check us out on Facebook at 5 Minutes of Trouble and Twitter at 5 Minutes Trouble. And be sure to check out the 5 Minutes of Trouble truck stop on Facebook. You can still join today and please tell your friends about this podcast. And better yet, while you're on iTunes, leave us a review. We really appreciate it. So thanks again for listening. This is the Podcast Express signing off. Tune in next week for another 5 Minutes of Trouble.